Okay, so I'm mixing up dressing to show the family how to make it. So what I did is already pre-cut up everything. We got a bunch of celery, two bushes of, I guess you call it celery, red, yellow, green, and orange bell peppers, bunch of onions, and 12 eggs because I'm making a lot. And then I made enough cornbread. I basically tripled the amount of one serving. And then I got the juice from the turkey. I actually baked 2 turkeys, and I got all of the meat chopped up from there. And I'm going to start mixing things together. As you can see, I have a bowl full of cornbread that was totally in this pan, one of the big turkey pans. And so I'm getting ready to get started with pouring everything together. I am not in the camera because I look a hot mess, and I don't want y'all to see me right now. All right. So I need my pot holder. And I'm going to start by pouring a lot of the juice from, we want to put a lot of that. You want it hot to shrink everything down, the cornbread. So I'm going to use most of this. Still have some left in the pot. And that's just to soften the cornbread up. And we make it southern style. So this is kind of getting it soft so I can start adding. Now as you can see, this bowl is definitely not going to be big enough. I should have borrowed my mom's bowl, because she's got one that's bigger than this. And so while this is still hot, I'm going to put a stick of butter in here. Alright. Which is already, I had it out all night so it's soft. And this is just for flavoring. Alright. Put a whole stick of butter in there. I know, just high cholesterol, huh? Alright, so I have that in there. Alright. Let's take this away. Have more leverage. And you're going to put a lot of seasoning in it, a lot of pepper. So to save time and just doing a lot of mixing, I want to put some of my seasonings in now because it's got to go in there now. So it's kind of hard to say how much to put in, so you just kind of have to eyeball it. Right now this bowl is really hot, so I'm going to turn it up just so you can see me adding pepper. So you got to use your own judgment, and trust me, I'm probably going to put more than this, but right now you can see how much I have in there. Alright, and Grandma will definitely tell you, make sure you put enough pepper in there. And I'm adding some salt. Right, and some of that I'm sure I'll come back with that as well. And let me find where I put my sage. You definitely don't want to overdo it with the sage. And that's based on your preference, but we always put a little but not too much. And I gotta find where I put that at. Not seeing my sage. That's my... Oh, I didn't put it in the cabinet. I left everything out. If you're not completely satisfied, return it for a full refund. Available now at these fine stores. I had a whole new bottle. Let me find it. Probably went in a spice cabinet. Digging out the sage, digging out the sage. Hopefully. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera while I find the sage. Okay, so I had to pause and get the sage. So I have that now. And before putting the camera back on, I actually had to separate some of the cornbread because it was just a little too much in one pan. So I kind of split it up. So alright, setting this camera again. Alright, so now I got it in 2 pans. Just makes it easy to mix. So here's the sage. I always buy fresh sage when I get ready to make dressing. Now you want to taste this because we don't put too much sage. You don't want too much sage where, you know, it overpowers the dressing. But you see how I have to sprinkle it and kind of eyeball it. So I can't tell you. I guess that's probably equivalent to 4 or 5, no, maybe 6 tablespoons. Alright, and now I'm going to start adding the veggies. Alright, so I have a bunch of onions. Alright, so I'm going to start putting the onions in both. So I put a lot of onions in. Alright. Alright. Just kind of put it in both. Then we have eggs. Separate it and put it in both pans. Right. Then we have, this is the celery, red bell peppers, yellow and green. Start putting that in here. You don't want to have it so full that you can't stir it because it gets to be so much. I'm going to add more later. So I'm making you know, like 6 small pans. It's probably going to be more than that. And before I start mixing, I'm going to add some more juice. Getting this cast. Now this is for a large amount. Alright, cool. You want to keep your juice hot, so I still have that boiling on the stove, and that's the drippings from the turkey part, the giblets, and I baked 2 turkeys, so I have it from the 2 necks and, you know, everything that comes in the bag. But one of the things I did do is I bought a separate pack of boneless thighs, and I boiled that with the giblets, and I shredded the thighs up just to make it a little bit more meatier. Alright, some people just like to eat dressing and they don't want to have any other sides, so with having the meat in there, that's good. Alright, now as you can see, it's starting to take shape and look like dressing. Still not even close to being done, so you got to add the meat, and you got to make sure the flavoring is just right. You might want to just put her in a playpan. Alright. I have a strong arm for mixing this stuff up. So where I put 5 times the recipe that you would use per just a small family, where it would ask for 2, let me show you. When I make the cornbread, this is it, the Aunt Jemima buttermilk, but it calls for like 2 cups of corn meal. I use 8 cups, so I basically tripled it. Alright, and so everything that you're adding, if it says 1 egg per cup, then I put, you know, 5 eggs in. Alright, and that's when you're making the cornbread. The only eggs you put in the dressing is the boiled eggs, and I boiled 12 eggs. It's all mixed in. All right. We're getting there. Getting there. So now I'm going to add some more veggies and I'm going to put the meat. Cut up a lot of veggies. Just makes it more yummier. While the camera was off, I added another stick of butter as well. So far I have 2, and I'm going to grease the pan with the last one. All right. So now I'm going to add the meat. Again, I chopped up everything last night to kind of save yourself some work. Only thing you got to do the next day is bake the cornbread and mix everything. And it's going back and forth from pan to pan. It's because we're feeding, let's see, 6 different homes today. That's why I'm making so much. When Grandma's making this, she makes it for Thanksgiving, and then she frees a pan for Christmas. I don't have that kind of freezer space, so I ain't doing all that. All right, so now it's kind of looking like this. Thick. We're not going to have it this thick by the time we put it in the oven. All right. All right, now I'm getting ready to add the meat. So I'm just going to sit it over here for a minute. And again, this is a mixture of all the giblets, and I got a whole pot full of turkey parts and probably about 8 thighs shredded. And I'm just going to mix it between the 2. Stuff is hot, 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 hot. So heavy, I can sit the pot right between the 2. It's not going anywhere. This is when you're cooking for an army, folks. And this is homemade cornbread dressing. Some people call it stuffing. Some call it dressing. It just depends on where you're from. But my family, we've always just used cornbread. My mother, this is her recipe, and she's kind of known for her dressing. If you guys remember the harvest time dinners, she used to make dressing for 600 people. Crazy. Crazy amount. All right. So I still have juice left in the pot. We'll use that later. Nothing goes to waste. And so now I'm getting ready to mix in all the giblets and the shredded meat. Smelling good in here. So I can already tell just by looking at it, and this is what I'm talking about, eyeballing, that I'm going to need to put more pepper, a little more sage. I'm sure I'm going to have to add more salt. That's when you get to the tasting part. Because you don't want to make this and then have to go and add to it later on when it's done. So you want to get the seasoning right first time. Alright. Alright, let's do this one. Some pepper to taste, and if you want a little bit more of a punch, I recommend a little dash of cayenne pepper. Okay? The heat's good for you. Have a strong arm when you're doing this. I was trying to switch up with my left because this stuff is so heavy. Alright. And it's, as you can see, shaping up. Right. And it's good when you're cutting up the vegetables to use a chopper. It just saves so much time. For years I was cutting up everything by hand. Thank God for choppers. Mom gave all the girls one, which was a lifesaver this year. Alrighty, so gotta add some more stuff. Alright. Alright, so this is where you want to have a fork, and you always want to switch forks. You don't test with the same forks. We know that, but you want to. I'm testing to see how much salt and pepper and sage I need to add. Alright, so need to add a little of everything, which happens, it always does. So I'm going to add more pepper. My mom was like, you want to be heavy with the pepper, which it just adds flavor, that's all. And which this is not really heavy when you think about it. Alright, more salt. And I'm going to add more juice, so I know. See how I'm eyeballing this stuff? And a hint more of sage. I like to put that in my hand because I don't want too much of that to go in. Do not overdo it with the sage. And the sage that I have is not overpowering. If you get some sage can be a little bit stronger than others. Some people like sage dressing. They really love sage. I don't. I just want a hint of it. And that's how my mom makes hers. Never overdo it with that. Alright. Alright, it's coming along, coming along. Almost there. You want it not too thick and not too loose by the time you put it in the pan. Alright. Switching hands. Shoulder's a little sore this morning. And if I had to use my left hand all the time, I'd be hit. Definitely right-handed. Alright, so I'm going to add a little more liquid, the juice, the sweetness, the flavor, whatever you want to call it. Alright, now another thing that my mom does, and I follow the pattern. Alright. A can of cream of chicken and a can of cream of celery, okay? Alright, so let me open this up. All of this is for adding flavor. It's making it get more yummier. What time is it already? 2:46. Okay, good. All right. Oh, I saw that on TV. Someone said that too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember her.
All right. And again, this is just for flavoring only. Just mix all that in. Makes it really creamy too. No. Alrighty, it's looking coming along pretty good, folks. And again, like I said, I'm making 6 small foil pans, so I needed a lot. Going to 6 separate families. That's how we roll on Thanksgiving. Right. Now, keep in mind, there's 7. It was 7 of us, 7 siblings. We recently lost my brother. So what we're doing, the girls are doing the cooking, and because of COVID-19, we're all going to meet at my mom's at 3 o'clock, and I have the turkey and the dressing. Lonnie has the yams, and she's making something else. I'm sorry, Lonnie has the macaroni and cheese. She has one plain, one with bacon. Renee has the yams and something else. And my brother Ed, he's making his own turkey parts. And so he'll get dressing, and he has his own turkey. I baked 2 turkeys, and Renee has turkey parts. Lonnie has some type of meat as well. But we're taking food to my mom. So, and I've got a bunch of cornbread muffin over there that I kind of separated and in Ziploc bags for everyone. And so we'll take all this together. We'll walk up to the car. Everyone gets their foil pans, put their dressing and their turkey, and then we'll go home. By 4 o'clock, we will all come together on Zoom, and we can share our Thanksgiving blessings. All right? Alrighty. So, now that I have that done, and this dish can be a little messy, so you want to always be constantly washing your hands, cleaning up everything. Alrighty. Alright, let's turn this right up here for a second, so I can. Alright. Okay, so now we got everything added, and so it's looking, like this. You can see everything in it. They both look the same. My mom always takes some white bread and break it up, rip it up into the dressing, and this is just kind of help hold it together. So you just kind of get 3 slices, and you're going to break it up kind of small. And like I said, you're just kind of ripping it up. Some people use breadcrumbs, but with homemade, oops, flip that over, with homemade cornbread dressing, you don't want that, the crouton things, whatever that people use when they use stuffing, because it kind of gives us that gummy flavor, taste, and consistency is one thing that, we want to make sure it has. So we'll mix all this in here. Right there and here. So we are adding bread, but not bread crumbs or croutons or those bags of things that you can buy. Not for cornbread dressing. Alright. Alright, I'm going to put one more in here. So it's about 5 slices for this amount. Make sure you kind of rip it up a little small. And then we're going to just stir it in. But I'm going to add a little more juice at this point. Like I said, you want it not too thick and not too loose. And that's very important because you don't want your dressing to be runny. And then, so now I'm going to use the juice from the meat because there's still some meat particles left in here. Alright, so that's all the meat. Alright, so let's mix that in. Mix it up really good. Now we're getting towards the end. I got to do a final taste test to make sure it's perfect. But the consistency and it's kind of there with this one where I want it. Now, depending on what type of pan you're going to use, if you're going to use one of the big silver like turkey pans, the center of that you want to, it will take that just a little longer to cook. Well, because I'm using smaller pans, it will cook more evenly. So I won't have to bake it as long. Alright, so this is kind of like the consistency that you want, not too loose and not too thick. Alright, you can see all the giblets all mixed in. And because, again, I'm making so much, you can see I made it a little bit more meatier. I think that's the only difference my mom and I would do. I don't know if she adds more turkey parts if she gets that, but, you know. But just add it tomorrow. And then I got to do the taste test again. It's a beautiful Thanksgiving day. Although we're all going to be in our own separate homes, you really want to, you know, thank God just for life, health, and strength. You know, that we're all here and we're able to have Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm hoping that everyone has a nice dinner. There's so many people that, you know, don't have food. When we were growing up, we'd always make sure that we fed someone else. No one should be without. Okay, so that's about the right consistency that you want. You see how it shakes just a little bit? It's not too thick and it's not too loose. So it will bake evenly. So I got to taste it again. I'm going to use a new fork, clean fork, and taste each one. So there's 2 separate forks. Dry my hands. Stuff gets a little messy like that. Alright. So again, I'm testing for seasoning. Make sure I got enough black pepper, salt, and sage. Girl, don't hurt yourself. That is so good. I need a little black pepper in that one. You see how much I put in? I still need to add a little. Okay. The black pepper with salt in this one. Be careful with the salt. So it seems like I'm putting a ton of pepper in here, right? It just kind of, I gotta get some more pepper. Take it from the container, and then I'll fill up my, all right. So add in a little more in here. So you see how much I've probably done this probably 3 times to get the amount the way I want it. Just a hint more. You want it to be perfect, but you don't want to have to add anything. And yesterday, so you could see how I added the, bring it over, so the pepper and both. I've added probably pepper like that about 3 times. All right. So I'm gonna mix this up. Last night I made a big pot of gravy. Oh my God, that gravy is so good. And I already divided it up for everyone. All right. Alright, looking good, looking good. Make sure everything's mixed up really good. And it is all the way through. Seasoning's going all the way through. Alright. And right before I get to pour it in the pans, I'm going to make sure it's, everything's mixed up. You want the pepper and seasonings to go all the way through. So you see how I'm mixing from corner to corner and making sure it's all mixed up really good. This is Josie's Abraham's recipe. My mom's been making this for years, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to master her homemade dressing. You got so much flavor and seasoning mixed in here, and it's only, let me test one more time for make sure the sage is perfect. You want to be able to taste a hint of sage, but you don't want sage overpowering. It's very important you remember that. By the time I had to get done, I have about 10 forks. Okay, don't want any. Alright. Good, good. Good, good, good. Good. I'm just going to put just a hint of sage because I can taste it, but not too much. And so you see how much sage I'm adding? I can't tell you what because I just know how to add it. So you'll taste it. Again, it will not be overpowering. Now, if you're doing this for the first time and you don't know what it's supposed to taste like, let me or my mom taste it before you put it in the oven, please. Because once it's in the oven, you don't want to add to something once it's already done. Only thing you want to add to it is put a little gravy on top. And that gravy is so good. What I make, some people make turkey gravy, and I do add like the juice from the turkey. But I make the gravy, and I call it kind of onion gravy. And then I strain it so there's no onions in the gravy. And you just get and I make dark gravy. You just get that yummy flavor that adds to this. Doesn't take away, just adds to it. Okay, so this is basically done. I'm going to start adding it to the pans, and I'll just come back and show you what the pans look like. But you want to butter your pans. So I have one box of butter. I usually have 4 sitting out so the butter is soft. And so I'm going to butter each pan at the bottom. And I'm going to cook 2 pans at a time in the oven. So about 10 o'clock right now gives us enough time to have everything done. All right. All right. That's mixed up. Show you what it looks like, the finished product. All right. All right. All right. So I'm going to go and butter the pans, and I'll come back to show you once that's done. Okay, so we're back. I'm buttering the pans, and Monique is going to taste. Just so again, we're up. We're not dressed for Thanksgiving yet, but we're gonna be sharp later on. So she's just going to taste the dressing. To tell me what she thinks before it's baked while I'm buttering the pans.
Okay, I'm just going to take a little spoonful here, not a whole lot. Give it a taste.
See, there's nothing raw in there, no eggs or anything, so it's good to taste. So it's already done. You just gotta bake it and brown it.
That is so delicious. Oh my gosh.
Did I put a heart on it?
Yes, you did.
All right.
And even without baking it, it's so good. Oh, I can't wait for that.
All right. When I butter the pans, I butter. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that comment. I use a paper towel just so you don't get your hands all greased up. But you want to butter the pans all over, not around the edges, not missing a spot. All right. So once I have 6 pans buttered. One for Mom and Dad, Lonnie's family, Renee's family, probably 2 for Renee's family, Ed and Anthony, and family over there, TC, and my niece Star, and we got one for Arthetis, and so yeah, hers will be smaller. So got the pan all greased up. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have all of the pans set to go in the oven. So as you can see, I have 2, 4, 6, 8 pans. So what we have here is one for Mom, my house, Star and Arthetis. These 2 are Ed's. These 2 are Renee's because her girls are coming. And this is for Lonnie, Luke, and Prince. So everyone has enough. So we got 8 pans. I'm going to bake probably 4 at a time. So I'm getting ready to put it in the oven. I buttered the pans. As you can see a little butter around the edge. That's what you want to see on all of them. So as it rises just a little, you got that juiciness. You see the consistency, it's loose but not too loose, and you don't want it too thick. If it's too thick, it'll dry out. All right, and flavoring is perfect. We're getting ready to put it in the oven. I'll show you the finished product when I'm done.